Okay. What is futures?
So futures,
What are we?
futures is just another way of trading anything. Futures probably has the most variety of anything that you could possibly want to trade. There's a futures contract for almost anything. You can have futures for standard things like commodities, oil, wheat, gold, silver. There's futures on most of the Forex pairs. There's futures on Bitcoin. You can get futures on the S&P 500. But you could probably get a futures contract for Green Bay Packers tickets, that kind of thing. You know, there's a futures contract out there for anything. They're great. But here's what a future really is. It is a contract. All that means is that you and the person on the other end of your transaction, both of you enter into an agreement, a contract. And that contract stipulates how long the contract lasts and what happens at the end of it and the money that's exchanged. So right now, we discovered a minute ago, Bitcoin was what, at 84.8, something like that, 84.877? Go look up the price of Bitcoin because there's a Bitcoin futures contract out there. 84.877. So I could enter into a 1 month futures contract. They're generally on a month, and say I'm gonna buy Bitcoin at 83,000, and I'm gonna pay some price for that, because the person on the other end says, hey, I think Bitcoin is going down, so I'm willing to sell someone a contract that says, hey, in a month's time, I'll sell you a Bitcoin contract for 83 because I think Bitcoin's gonna be at 80. So there's always someone on the other side that has the opposite view of whichever direction it's going. But all it means is it's a contract. Like buying a car. A car says, hey, Nick Bradford and GM Financial enter into a contract whereby Nick pays for a car named after a Suntaran, and GM Financial gives him the money to buy that car. And over the course of 72 months, Nick agrees to pay GM Financial this amount of money, and GM Financial agrees to have given Nick on the front end the money for this car. It's a contract. That's all it is. But unlike a car, these contracts are very, very short term. There's some that are day contracts. But that's all it is. It says that I'm going to enter in a contract to buy some commodity. Gold, Bitcoin, widgets, whatever it is. Now,
widgets.
The interesting thing is, once upon a time...
I'm going to buy Android widgets.
Android widgets. Once upon a time, these contracts were actually... they were created specifically for shipping and exchanges. So once upon a time, these contracts were actually settled, the end of the contract agreement, with whatever it was. If you bought a barrel of oil at $55 for a 1 month contract, at the end of the month, someone delivered a barrel of oil to your house. Now these days, no one wants that. So most of them are...
You don't want a barrel of oil showing up to the
Well,
house.
it's a barrel of crude oil. So, I mean, if a barrel of gasoline is one thing, but a barrel of oil... So these days, they're settled in cash. So at the end of a contract, you get the money for whatever it was you wanted. However, most of the time, most people sell the contract before the end of it to someone who actually wants the barrel of oil. Now, I will throw in this one thing so as not to confuse you. If you've ever heard the term options, have you heard the term options before?
There are options,
stock option,
different things.
Stock options.
I've not heard of
so,
stock options.
Whereas a futures contract obligates both parties to whatever you wrote down, an option contract gives the buyer the option to exercise it or not, right? You have the right, but not the obligation to exercise that contract. Whereas in futures, you have both the right and the obligation. So that's why it's called an option, because you have an option. Hey, it says, hey, I've sold an option contract on, what's Tesla at right now? Is that a 9 or a 5? 252?
Tesla 252.
Let's say you sold, let's say you bought an option contract for Tesla at 250 for a month from now. That means that a month from now, hey, say I want to buy, I think Tesla's going up. I think Tesla in the next month is going to go to 300. So a month from now, I've got this contract of mine that's coming due, and I get to buy it for 250 when the rest of the world gets to buy it for 300. Well, why would anyone do that? Well, because Tesla could go to 200 in a month, and then suddenly you're holding this contract that says I have the right to buy Tesla at 250 when Tesla's really at 200. So, are you going to exercise that contract and buy it at 250? No, you're gonna say, okay, I'm just gonna let that. It's called expire worthless. So, an option is basically a futures contract with a yes/no at the end of it for the buyer. The seller is still obligated, but the buyer then has the option to exercise it on. So that's what those two are. And when you're on TradingView, there's all manner of, if you were to type in, go up to the upper left-hand corner where you see TSLA and type in A. Let's just start with that. And then highlight, it says, right now it says all. Highlight futures. So you see that there are things out there that are futures contracts. Now highlight options at the end. Unhighlight futures and highlight options. There you go. So there's options. So
Hey, AMD.
So there are, and you can, if you typed in AMD, just type in AMD and don't do anything else. Just type in the word A and just add an M and a D. All right. So you see there are options contracts for that. Now click on stocks. Same thing. So there's both stocks and options. Now click on futures.
1 sec. Okay. Oh, it doesn't show it. That's what I was looking for.
Let's click on futures. There's a fund for AMD.
Oh, futures.
So you can see that there are, within any given company, item, right? There's gold. Gold has ETFs. Gold has their stocks. There are options. There's futures. Whatever it is you want to trade, there's probably 3 or 4 different ways you can trade, which is one of the amazing things about trading, is that you have options, right? And each one of these, by the way, is tailored for your specific needs. So a futures contract, you can only buy one contract at a time, and those are a set price. Whereas an option, you can buy a smaller amount. If it was Forex, it'd be even smaller. So if you've got $100, you're not buying 1 share of Tesla, right? Are you? You need $252 to buy 1 share of Tesla. But you could buy an option on Tesla for probably $20. You could enter into a futures contract on Tesla for probably more than that. So whatever it is you want to trade, there's going to be some way to do it.